Introducing the new meta. Or at least that's what people want me to say. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of torn against this new exotic meta, and I'm going to explain that and everything in between in today's video. But first, what are we talking about? Well, the developers brought back Alpha Bridge, but it's not like you remember it, okay? Alpha Bridge was a gear set back in the Division 1 where you could use the same weapon type and double down on the talents. So you could use two ARs and have two talents on the same AR, whatever it is. Two shotguns, two SMGs, two LMGs, whatever your flavor of poison. But nevertheless, what it would do is it would combine the talents. That way you could double down on the same weapon, and then you could do even more damage. And well, they brought that back for the Division 2 in the shape of an exotic mask, and a lot of people are loving it, but others are quite confused on how it works. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to explain how to get the exotic, how the exotic works, maybe a few builds you want to try with that exotic, and then we'll get you out of here. That way you know exactly how this exotic works, how strong or not strong it is, and everything in between. So let's go ahead and jump right in. What's going on, YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 video, so sit back, relax, grab that popcorn, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comment section below, and finally, shout out where you're from. It's cool to see where everyone is from. But I will be doing some Climax mission gameplay videos in the future, along with some Tinkerer builds, but first, I wanted to break down all of the details about the exotic and get everyone on the same page. So first and foremost, how do we get this exotic? If you go to the brand new Potomac Event Center Climax mission, it's called the Manager. And the Manager on Master Difficulty, you can see right there on the left side of your screen, underneath the rewards, you can get the Tinkerer Mask. Now, yes, you can get the Tinkerer Mask on all difficulties at a lower drop rate. However, at Master Difficulty, it is guaranteed. Now, to unlock this Climax mission, it's fairly simple. You go to your Manhunt Scouts, and all you have to do is complete the high-valued targets. So for this season, it's going to be Scout number 8 and Scout number 12. And as soon as you complete Scout number 8 and Scout number 12, you will then unlock the Manager. So the Manager is nothing crazy. That mission, there's no extra puzzles, there's no hunters, there's no secret whatever. It's just some tanky enemies. Think of it like a Heroic Plus, if you will. So it's not too crazy. However, we did have some bugs with this mission and the final boss. So the developers have put in the known issues board, and I've already done a patch to try to fix this. However, they said to try to do the mission without a damage over time debuff, which would, I guess, include the pestilence and status effects, because apparently that is bugging out the final boss. But if you are able to get the mask, a lot of people are hit and miss with this mask. So there's a few different points of confusion here. Now, you cannot use this with your secondary weapon, and it does not work with named or exotics. And that includes the Lexington. I know a lot of people were saying they wanted to use the Lexington. That's not going to be the case here. So the talent is called Abridged, and this is essentially Alpha Bridge 2.0, where in the first game it was a gear set, now it's an exotic. And it says here that if your primary weapon and secondary weapon are not exotic or named, but they are of the same type, the secondary weapon's talent will go to the primary. This does not apply if the primary or secondary weapon talent, let's see here, includes weapon swapping. And it also does not apply if the primary and secondary talents are the same. So you can't double down on Optimist, you can't double down on Streamline or double down on Flatline, anything like that. So they can be the same weapon type, so 2 ARs, 2 SMGs, 2 shotties, 2 LMGs, what have you, and they can be 2 different talents, but only the primary weapon will get the buff. Okay? Now, to see that in real time, you will notice that your alpha bridge indicator will either be orange or red. If it is orange, then you're able to use it. If it's red, you're not going to be able to use it. So let me show you what that looks like. The indicator will be under your ammo, and you can see right here that it is now orange, right? And then if I switch to my secondary weapon, it then turns red. If that indicator is red, you are not getting both talents. If the indicator is orange, you're able to use both talents. And that's where a lot of people are getting confused, because they're like, hey man, my indicator is forever red, and it's because it will only work for your primary weapon. Now, another thing, it does say no exotic or named weapons. So a lot of people were saying, well, what about the named weapons with normal talents and all that? Oh, and there's the stash bug. I can't make this crap up, man. Of course, I hit the stash bug as soon as I'm making a video. Stupid. Anyways, I was about to show you, but people think like the slingshot or like the Lexington or something like that would work, and that's not the case. It has to be a high-end weapon for both, and it has to be a normal talent for both, and they have to be different talents, and it will only work for the primary weapon. So, before I get into all my crazy build videos, let me just show you a few little ways of doing this. So we have a crit build. This one's pretty nasty. We have Umbra, which is pretty nice. We have Heartbreaker, which is just incredible, and Striker. I mean, these are just a few of the builds I put together with the Tinkerer, and it is insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. Now, what I would typically do is say, have your primary weapon with whatever talent you want and damage to targets out of cover. And then that way you can craft whatever secondary weapon you want, and then just make sure you change the talent. Because remember, it doesn't matter what your secondary weapon is. As long as it's the same weapon type, it just has to be a high end, and then you can change the talent over and over and over again. For instance here, I'm just using a high-end DPS build, and I have Flatline and Streamline. But my primary weapon is the only weapon I'm using, and this is the one that's God-rolled with expertise upgrades on it and everything. And it has Flatline. So no matter what, I'm going to have Flatline. So then I can start to, test out different combinations. Because remember, Streamline only really works if you don't use any skills and have no skills and cooldown. It's all right. But then I could switch it out and maybe use it with Measured, maybe use Flatline with, I don't know, maybe let's go Ranger, test it with Sadist, Close and Personal, Strained, Optimist, Preservation, Killer. I mean, there's so many different ways I can test it to match my playstyle. But my whole thing here is make sure your secondary weapon is just some rando, and then that way you can change the talent over and over and over and test all the different combinations until you find that sweet spot, that Goldilocks for you and your playstyle. Now, next up, let's talk about other weapon types. So that's just an AR, right? I mean, pretty standard. Check out this shoddy build. Now, I know I'm showing you builds before I do the actual build video, and I really don't care. But this is a lot of fun, I'm telling you. What you do is you get your stacks up, and then you switch over, and oh my god, dude. Watch, just watch this here. Let me show you really quick. And this is just one example, right? So I'm doing PvP, and I'm getting my stacks up with my ACS 12. And then they're expecting me to switch to like a bighorn or like something like that. Oh no, check this out. So I get my stacks up, and then all of a sudden, I'm hitting for 999 to the chest. Oop, that's over 1 million to the chest. Do you see that? Oh, he's not pulsed. There we go. Look at this. Oh my gosh, this is just crazy. Look at that, 1,000,004 to the head. And that's with a shoddy. That's with a shoddy and I have double the bonus armor. So what is that? That's 4.8 million armor. Dude, this is unkillable. It's unkillable. They're trying to face tank you in PvP or PvE, and you whip out a freaking M870. It's game over, dude. And you have the stacks up. It's ridiculous. Another one that's crazy. This one right here. A Vector with spotter, flatline, and then you could go killer, you could go measured, you could go anything, really. Optimist. It really doesn't matter. Let's see here. Flatline. We'll test out a few here. We could do streamline real quick. Let's see what this does. Because remember, it only works for the primary weapon, so you can just keep your secondary weapon and change the talents over and over and over. So here we go. Get our stacks up. All right, now let's do some headshots. We're hitting over 700k per headshot, and that's with 1.8 million armor. This is a full tank build. And that's what I mean. Like, you're amplifying the damage of Streamline, and then you're It's stupid. This is a really fun mask, I will admit. So now let's talk about the downsides, all right? And then we'll get you out of here. So the downsides of this, what I have found out personally, you run out of ammo really quick. So if you're using something like Flatline, you're typically going to be using Technician, right? The Technician specialization. So you're not getting ammo regenerated at all. So what I'm using is Technician, and then I'm just running out of ammo really quick. I'm using an SMG, and unless I hit restock boxes, you have nothing to fall back on. You don't have a secondary weapon with a different weapon type, different ammo cache, nothing like that. Now, it's not a huge problem with ARs and SMGs, but for this build right here, this build, it hurts really bad because I'm building up my stacks with the ACS-12, and then that's taking away all of the ammo from my M870. It is fun, and yes, you do one-shot pretty much everything. This thing is ridiculous, and it's a tank build. But I will admit that using that ACS-12, you're like flying through ammo really quick. So maybe have like a teammate running gunner specialization, something like that, to try to, counter the missing ammo. But besides that, I mean, there's not really many downfalls to the mask. Like survivability issues, like, yeah, you could be better off using the Catharsis, or, yeah, if you wanted to for more crit, you could be using the Coyotes. But let's be real, the Tinkerer, it's the new toy. Everyone wants to use it, and it is a lot of fun. There are a few drawbacks, and it only does work for your primary weapon. But then again, there's a lot of people out there, me included, that just use their primary weapon anyways. But when it comes to builds like this, where you want to build up your stacks, you might want to double guess that, because the ACS-12, man, does it suck up your ammo. Man, oh man, does it suck up that ammo. But all right, that's going to be it for me and the Tinkerer mask. I'll come back with some climax mission gameplay, show you how to beat it solo and in a group, and so much more. We'll go over my top Tinkerer builds, and then we'll start going individually and deep diving into what to use and why. But that's it for me. I hope I answered a lot of your questions out there about the new exotic meta, and let's discuss some more in the comment section below. But again, take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Kamikazevondoom. Peace out.